Hi everybody, and welcome to another session that I have with Zandria Lowe on discussing what emotions we experience during this lockdown and this COVID-19 pandemic that is sweeping across the world. I'm Dr. Skalkberger from Dr. Luke on Call, and yes, welcome again to Zandria.
Hello, Skalk, and thank you for another opportunity to have a discussion.
Let's first, you said to me you want to talk about cycles of relationships and how relationships work and break down and recover.
Yes, Skalk, a specific part of the natural relationship cycle is definitely coming to surface much more pertinently, and I think we need to focus on that for a minute.
Okay, so when you talk about this cycle, what's the first point and how many sort of areas do we have?
Firstly, I would just like to point out that nature works in cycles. We have day and night, and winter and summer, followed by another winter. And in the exact same way, we have that with relationships as well. And we usually start off with harmony. We're all very accustomed to that part. It's the part where there's lots of smiles and when we are all having a good time and things are flowing deeply and evenly.
Yeah, and the harmony one is where we all want to stay, but it doesn't always last that long.
No, it doesn't. And it's sad, but the truth is that the next parts of the cycle actually functions to strengthen our bonds and our commitment and our ability to communicate effectively with each other.
Okay, so what is the next part?
The bad news is the next part is usually a rupture, a disrupt. There's a conflict of interest. One party wants X, other party wants A, and now something needs to be organized. And there is chaos, there is disharmony, and there is a whole blow up. And that causes discomfort, and that could surface in different kinds of ways for different people. Our extroverts and our more straightforward people will really see some heated blow-ups with them, but for our introverts, that is usually the time when they retreat into themselves, and we need to be cautious of thinking everything is okay.
Yeah, that's very true. I think especially in your own family unit, you can see the difference in the different personalities you have in the group. And so if you have that, how do you overcome the fact that some people would retract and not communicate?
I think what we need to remind ourselves of is that in normal life, it's easy to just walk out the door and go do what you need to do during the day. And the rupture part of relationship gets left behind. But now we're forced to sit in it and work ourselves through that. So getting comfortable with the discomfort that this situation brings is the most important part, and remembering that it's just a phase. It will work itself out. There's nothing to be afraid of in the disrupt. The disharmony is just a specific phase. We won't get stuck in
that. Okay, so what do we do next? What's the next sort of phase in the cycle?
Firstly, we need to acknowledge each other's feelings. Let's take, for an example, a grade 4 learner in a homeschool situation that does not want to do maths right now. The parent is wanting that to happen because it has to happen. So what will happen? The grade 4 will say, I am not doing that right now. That's a disrupt. It's a rupture in the relationship. So it's the mom or the parents' responsibility then to acknowledge the feeling, to say, you are really not in the mood to do your maths right now. So that's understandable. Acknowledgement of the feeling and validation thereof. It's understandable. We all want to just lounge around in our pajamas, but sometimes we need to get down to stuff that is important. So allowing some space for that, and then asking, so what is it that you'd rather want to do right now? I'd rather want to be swimming or playing with my friends. And that makes sense. And there is the opportunity to connect. And that is really an important part. It's creating opportunity to connect.
Okay, so communication, connecting, but like you say, important to say, I'm not forcing the communication on you now, but I found that sometimes with my daughter, I say to her, I pick up that, this is not 100% the way, you want things, or you're feeling something is not right, but let's give it a while. Let's give it half an hour, an hour. Think about if you want to talk about it, let's say in an hour, we can do that. Is it sometimes good to put a time frame to it, or do you just leave it open for a little while?
You're making an important point there, Skulk. It's important to acknowledge the process of the other person. For some, it takes time, and you need to put a time frame on it. But for others, it needs to be sorted out right away, or right ahead, and you'll have to go with the flow and create that opportunity to connect.
Okay, and then the sort of the restoration process, is it sometimes you feel that for one person, restoring a relationship is more of a priority than for the other party, and you sort of feel that one person is really pushing restoration and getting back to normal, and the others are not ready yet?
Yeah, and again, that's another mini rupture within the rupture process. And we need to have patience with ourselves and with our partners, whether they are small children, whether they are our parents or our partners. Just having patience and grace with each other and ourselves is a key factor here.
I'm just thinking of one thing, they always talk about love language and that type of thing. How important is it to realize how the other party will respond? Will they respond to physical comforting? Will they respond to an act of love? Will they respond to quality time? Will they respond? Is that something that you look at, or how do you deal with that?
Certainly, that is another important point. What you're actually referring to is the action of asking, what is it that you need in order to not stay stuck in this situation? And often, the preferred love language is a good indication and a good guideline to find your way out of the stuckness.
And then further, next step, what comes next? What can we expect next?
Well, let's go back to the example of the grade 4 learner that does not want to do his math homework.
Okay.
So after you have acknowledged the feeling and validated it as well, and asked what is it that this child needs, it's often connection that a child or your partner really needs in different kinds of ways. So then comes the important part of figuring out how to reconnect, how to repair with your partner. And I had this exact same um, experience in my home. My grade 4 learner was not always so keen on doing the maths. So what we did is I asked him, what is it that you need? And he actually said, I just need you to do this with me. So we brainstormed a little bit, and we came up with the idea that he does not like math at all, and I don't like exercise at all. So we agreed that he'll do as many math sums as possible in 5 minutes, and I'll do as many sit-ups as I can in 5 minutes. And we'll do our best. We won't cheat at all. And we made fun. We made a difficult situation a little more playful. And that seemed to work the magic. So often the magic is in just trying a different perspective and adding a little playfulness and a little creativity to
Yeah.
the mix.
Yeah, but also, what I pick up in that point is there's always a little bit of a sacrifice that goes with it. You actually had to sacrifice something to really get to the point where you want.
Yeah, Skulk, relationship is about giving and receiving. It's like it's breathing in and breathing out. We have to, if a relationship is important to us, we have to be willing to sacrifice and to struggle a bit and to find some creativity, or to bring some creativity to this situation.
Okay, that's good. Well, it almost sounds like we got back to harmony. How close are we back to the harmony part in the cycle now?
Yes, we are exactly there. We are exactly there. And I would just like to highlight a quick point that it feels like, it feels overwhelming connecting with our children or with our partners. But in actual fact, It actually takes only 9 minutes a day, broken down into 3 minutes at a time. Research indicates that if we're willing to sacrifice 3 minutes, first thing in the morning when we wake up and we connect with each other for the first time during a day, if we are willing to bring our A game there and be fully present, 3 minutes is going to buy you a lot of goodwill, a lot of harmony in your relationship. And then again, 3 minutes later in the day with lunchtime, or in our normal situations, it would be when we're back after our days, after school or work. And then again, another 3 minutes of quality connection just before we end our days. And if we think about it in that way, only 3 minutes at a time, it's more doable. It feels more practical. It feels more reachable.
To summarize then, you have the cycle, you expect that the cycle is going to happen almost on a daily basis, and you want to try and focus on how you can avoid the cycle from really crashing and staying in that situation of rupture and it never heals. So if you do that sort of, like you say, 3 minutes, if you can go forward longer, like if we play table tennis, we play a bit longer than 3 minutes of table tennis, but we do it every day if we can now with this awkward lockdown situation, and really builds a relationship. So that's awesome to try and find what is the niche thing that you can do with each member of the family.
Absolutely. Thank you, Skalk.
Yeah, looking forward to next time. And there's so many things to talk about, and I think there's so many things that we as parents and children and people that still work go through every day in the lockdown, and it's going to be exciting. I just can't wait for the next topic that we're going to discuss.
Endless possibilities always, Skalk.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Have a wonderful day. Till next time. That was another discussion with Zandria Lowe, counseling psychologist, on relationships and the cycle of relationships that we experience every day, and now a lot more so in the lockdown period. I think we've learned something from that. I learned something from that, and it's great to just look at that and expect cycles to not always be in perfect harmony, and know how to deal with them when they happen. Thank you for listening. Hit the subscribe button and the like button, and even ask your questions down in the comments. Stay healthy, stay home, and stay safe.